Friday, September 24th, 1993. In a matter of hours, the Choral Arts Society of Washington will join Mstislav Rostropovich and the National Symphony Orchestra on a concert tour of Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Thank you.
Everyone is a little anxious. 3 days earlier, Boris Yeltsin startled the world by disbanding the Russian parliament, and the lawmakers retaliated by voting him out of office. The State Department has okayed this trip. When the singers come to the end of their journey, will they find tanks and troops in Red Square? This is the second international tour for the Choral Arts Society this year, and the 142 chorus members know how important communication skills are in a new country. Galina is one of the guides in Moscow. We now have two presidents, she tells the singers. Boris Yeltsin, elected by all the people, and Alexander Rutskoy, elected by Parliament.
Things, McDonald's area, can see McDonald's. Now you can see the Pizza Hut, you can see.
Since Norman Scribner founded the Choral Arts Society of Washington in 1965, his singers have performed the world's greatest choral music with many of its most distinguished conductors. But perhaps no conductor has touched them more deeply than Mstislav Rostropovich. Rostropovich came to Washington nearly 20 years ago, a man renowned throughout the world for his music, as well as for his courageous fight for human rights. Within months, he became music director of the National Symphony Orchestra. The Choral Arts Society was among the first of Washington's ensembles to work with Slava, performing Prokofiev's cantata, Alexander Nevsky, in 1977. The memories build quickly. Benjamin Britten's War Requiem, a recording of the Rachmaninoff Vespers, the Shostakovich Symphony No. 13, and many other masterpieces. Music director Norman Scribner and the chorus arrive in Red Square to sing the finale from Prokofiev's Alexander Nevsky, which describes the exploits of one of Russia's most famous warrior princes. On an unseasonably cold day, 100,000 Muscovites gather here in the shadow of the Kremlin to hear the music of Prokofiev and Tchaikovsky. After the chorus's performance, Rostropovich will lead the National Symphony Orchestra in the 1812 Overture.
It's thrilling. It doesn't seem real.
Unforgettable for all of us.
Right.
We've worked really hard to get here. At least we all have rehearsed a long time. And then you come and see St. Basil's and it just hits you. You're here.
Yeah. And to sing under this wonderful, wonderful musician, it's quite an honor.
15 years ago when we started singing with Slava, he told us that this music couldn't be sung in his mother Russia, and to now be here with him is just incredible. Just incredible.
There were a few anxious moments when I had 120 musicians on a plane, and I was sitting in Washington wondering whether I should stop them when they got to Frankfurt, but we decided to press on, and so far it's been okay.
To be able to sing music by a great Russian composer who was a friend of Rostropovich's right here on the turf where he was born and raised, that's an overwhelming experience.
No musician is more revered in Russia than Mstislav Rostropovich, who was forced into exile for sheltering dissident novelist Alexander Solzhenitsyn. In 1990, after Gorbachev restored his citizenship, Slava took the National Symphony on its first concert performance as a goodwill gesture to the many Russians who cannot afford to purchase tickets to his other concerts.
Society. I love this. That's my friend. That's my family. I delight that we're all together in a Red Square.
It's absolutely a wonderful chorus. We've performed with them obviously very often in Washington, and I think this is just the natural culmination of the relationship between the NSO and the society. Performances in Moscow. How can you beat it?
Red Army Band joins the NSO for this stirring conclusion to the 1812 overture, which Tchaikovsky wrote for Red Square 100 years ago.
It was actually one of the most thrilling things I've ever experienced. Everybody was smiling during the 1812 overture. It was just a joy, and with the cannons going off, I was watching Yeltsin, and Galina Vinitskaya was next to him, and I could see the pleasure in their faces, and it was just an experience of a lifetime. It was terrific.
It was wonderful. I could see Yeltsin through Slava's legs while he was conducting. I had the best seat in the house. It was wonderful.
Slava wanted to begin his 17th and last season as music director of the National Symphony Orchestra by bringing together what he calls his American and Russian families. More importantly, this music reminds the Russians that they are a great people with a great culture. You are our only hope. I have more hope than before, Slava replies. Today's concert also marked a symbolic victory for the Russian president, who listened to an announcer compare Russia's victory over Napoleon to the present crisis and called on the crowd to support Yeltsin.
Whose name's on the front of that thing?
Oh, that's Rostropovich. He signed it for me back at rehearsal last week.
A chorus member has just been interviewed by a reporter from the Washington Post.
Well, I was telling her about how when Slava invited Choral Art Society to come to Moscow, he said, "I want to give you all a gift that you'll remember the rest of your lives." And he did. He did.
Between rehearsals and concerts, the singers are able to squeeze in extracurricular fun. Despite the political upheaval, members of the famous Moscow Circus perform at their best. Off stage, the tour guides offer glimpses of what real life is like in Moscow. The subway system is the cleanest and most beautiful in Europe. Each station was individually designed and decorated by leading Russian architects and artists during Stalin's regime. But the turnstiles can be merciless. The Arbat, one of the city's oldest streets, is Moscow's Greenwich Village. Both tourists and Muscovites come here to see a different side of the capital, a place where the unexpected happens every day. In Moscow's open-air flea markets, an emerging generation of small businessmen sells everything from mink hats to nesting dolls. But purchase wisely, the choristers are warned, and remember, you may be charged 600% customs duty. Don't buy caviar, but fur hats are okay.
If you shake it enough, we'd find out. Supposedly mink. Beautiful.
Okay. So, I got it for 13 instead of 15, but not 12. So, that's not too bad.
The chorus's tour buses drive past the Russian White House, where the parliament is still holed up. Over 600 deputies are, in effect, prisoners inside their own building. But on the busy streets nearby, life continues unhampered for Moscow's 9 million citizens, as if the drama unfolding a few blocks away is no more real than a movie scenario. Moscow is renowned for its magnificent concert halls with their wonderful acoustics and elegant decor, but by American standards, the stage space is small and warm-ups take place in cramped backstage quarters. The chorus joins the NSO in the Bolshoi Zal, a great hall of the Tchaikovsky Conservatory, known as the Carnegie Hall of Moscow. They performed the Alexander Nevsky cantata, which Prokofiev arranged from his score for the Russian filmmaker Sergei Eisenstein. Released in 1938, the film helped prepare the Russian people for battle with an aggressor nation.
It was absolutely out of this world. What an experience. Oh God, 2 in 2 days, this is just too much. I don't know how I'm going to stand it till the end of the week. Oh boy. Anyway, it was just speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
Unbelievable. You put so much into expectations, and to have it actually come out and it'd be even better than what you expected. It is truly amazing.
Invited to one of Moscow's most famous restaurants, the Slavyansky Bazaar, members of the chorus, along with their spouses and friends, celebrate in exuberant Russian style.
Pancakes and
Inside the Kremlin's 19 miles of red brick walls, tension remains high. Electricity and telephone lines to the White House have been cut, but the standoff continues.
1 and 2 and...
A few blocks from the Kremlin, Norman Scribner prepares his singers for another concert, which they will perform without the symphony. Proceeds from this performance will aid in the much-needed restoration of this conservatory.
Okay. Yep, but it has to be cleaner. Alleluia, and then big diminuendo on the ya, you know.
Named for Tchaikovsky, who taught there, the school is also Slava's alma mater. The chorus's support is one of many gestures that endear them to the Russian public.
Could we sing, just sing with more presence and less volume? Way over in Beulah land. Has to be more excited than ever when you're pianissimo. Has to be frantic with excitement when you're pianissimo. What you do is you just hold up tense because you equate volume with intensity. For dress rehearsal, you know, you almost don't, in a way, a lot of little things went wrong, and we fixed them awful lot, as we always do at the last minute, you know. That's the nature of dress rehearsals. I've learned over the years that sometimes dress rehearsals, if they go really well, then everyone is content at the performance and it doesn't have the extra excitement. But if it has a little bit of trouble and a little bit of tension, then everyone is especially anxious to make a great performance. So I feel good about today's rehearsal, because we had a little trouble in the rehearsal, and tonight will be great, I promise you.
Nobody expected that the singers would be allowed to enter the gates of the Kremlin, which had been closed to the public because of the political turmoil. The visit to the Kremlin's magnificent Armory Museum and the cluster of imperial cathedrals is perhaps Yeltsin's way of thanking the chorus for their performances.
To paint icons were allowed for, so to say, clean persons. So under the veil, I mean the monks and the nuns only.
The Russian audience is surprised to learn that the Choral Arts Society of Washington is made up of people from 15 to 70 years of age. They are doctors, lawyers, government employees, university professors, students, and homemakers who gather during their free time to practice what they love. The differences in their backgrounds are erased by music. Norman Scribner founded the Choral Arts Society in 1965. Many of its members stay with the group because of his talent, his personality, and his dedication to music. Are you ready? Good evening. We will now begin the concert of the Choral Arts Society of Washington. The music director and conductor is Norman Scribner, and the soloist is Janice Chandler. The audience is enchanted with Janice Chandler's performance of Summertime from Gershwin's Porgy and Bess.
Замечательно пели по-русски.
Their singing in the Russian language is excellent. Wonderful singers. I am thrilled with these singers.
Замечательно. Спасибо.
Good job. Thank you. We enjoyed it so much.
Thank you, thank you.
It was an enormous pleasure. I've never been so entertained. I wish they could visit more often. I'm only sorry I didn't bring my child along. I think he would have enjoyed it immensely too.
Да, вот и говорит обаятельная солистка.
The soloist has a wonderful voice. Just wonderful.
I don't sing yet, but I will. I will do some things with her. Is your phone?
Право тенора.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Спасибо. Did I say it right?
After an overnight train ride from Moscow, the chorus is about to arrive in St. Petersburg. From the train windows, they watch the Russian countryside move swiftly by, a fascinating kaleidoscope of colors and unfamiliar images. Disembarking at St. Petersburg's busy train station, everyone moves down the platform toward the waiting buses and a new set of tour guides. St. Petersburg lies in the delta of the Neva River. Hundreds of canals crisscross its avenues like winding ribbons, giving the city its nickname, the Venice of the North. As the buses pass the Smolny Convent and Winter Palace, it's hard to believe a city of such grace survived a horrifying 900-day siege in World War II.
Easy, folks. You have to scoop that downbeat out strong. Okay, the Dumaluma page, please. That was almost non-existent last night. 1, 2.
Easy.
It's a little too much, gentlemen. If you're going to do Dumaluma, you might as well go, Dumaluma! but listen, just do Dumaluma. You know, just let it fade a little. Sort of like little sparks, you know, like little fireworks. Dumaluma.
Norman Scribner selected excerpts from the Vespers by Sergei Rachmaninoff to pay tribute to Russia's great musical heritage. The second half of the concert is all-American, featuring the music of Gershwin, Copland, Richard Wayne Dirksen, and a collection of spirituals. The Musical Society of St. Petersburg thanks you for a marvelous concert. We are happy to have you in the hall today. We would also like to give you this memento, St. Isaac's Cathedral. A wonderful concert. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We hope you visit us again. If you would come more often, then we would enjoy ourselves all the more. It was wonderful. Wherever the singers go, they see the evidence of Russia's economic hardships. The chorus visits the cemetery where many famous Russian artists are buried, among them Mussorgsky.
There was Glinka, Rimsky-Korsakov, then over there Borodin.
And perhaps the most famous, Tchaikovsky.
Smile, everybody.
The day culminates with a concert at St. Petersburg's Philharmonia Hall. In this glittering room, many works by Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff, and Shostakovich had their premieres. Local dignitaries, politicians, and artists are present tonight. Among them is Anatoly Sobchak, mayor of St. Petersburg. Singing for them in these great concert halls is beautiful, Norman Scribner later tells the Washington Times. We are too often so preoccupied with the differences that we forget how much we are the same. In the end, it is the Russian faces one remembers the most.